Welcome to the Camnet Breakfast. This is Patrick Soko, and today on the program we have a number of activities lined up for you. Be sure to stay tuned so that you can participate on our discussion today. We'll be talking to governance activist Lewis Mape as we discuss pertinent issues surrounding local government. But before we get deep into our program today, we'll go straight into Morning Boost.
Good morning, welcome. I started with a warm-up before I stepped in here, and let's do it now. 5 minutes workout. Make sure that your partner joins in, your children that comes in, and let's do something today now. So this is what we're gonna do today. We're gonna start with the hands now. Shoulder press. Let's go. I'm gonna do 40, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many? 30. 1, 2, 3, go. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. Great workout. I'm already feeling this. So let's go. I'm dealing with the hands. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, next 10, I'm going to bring the hands to the front now. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, so we've done 60 for the hands. Let's go now. Remember last time I was here, we were running, we were jumping. So today we're going to do it differently now. Here we go. There you go. Stay at that. Just stretch your legs. Good for you in the morning. Let's go. Stretch. There you go. There you go. Let's go. Let's go. Stay at it. Keep doing it. You feel like your legs are becoming heavy? It's part of the workout. Let's go. Awesome stuff. You're doing well. Keep pushing. Don't lean on anything unless you can't really stand the intensity of the workout. Let's go. Keep going. Keep going. There you go. All right. Awesome stuff. Okay, I'm going to give you something now. Remember, you need to do this every morning before you leave. Okay. Basic push-ups. That's what you're going to do now. Lock your legs, kneel down, and come down here. Let's go. 1. 10. Let's go. 20. I'm going to give you a 5-second break, but it's within my time. Take a break. You can do 5 minutes, seconds. You can do 10. So 20 more. We do 40. Let's go, Team Camnet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10. Then you take your 10-second break, but I'm not going to take that long break. Okay, last 10. Then I've given you 40 push-ups. Anybody can do this, you kneel. Let's go, last 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great stuff. All right. Thank you so much. And that's it for today. I'm going to see you again next time at the same time. Make sure that you do this every morning before you go for your duties. Thank you. I sign out. Machisa Isaac is my name.
Welcome back. We are glad that you could still stay tuned on the Camnet Breakfast. I'm Patrick Soko, and I've been joined by my colleague Blessings Shakwila, who is going to run us through sports. And just to, as you already know, I think Zambia won't be going to the World Cup, and I think this has been a topical issue in the country, as Zambians have been wondering why the country has failed to qualify to the World Cup. Well, that would be at a higher level. The country hasn't been doing fine in terms of qualifying to the Africa Cup as well. So, Blessings, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Soko.
And we just want you to help us understand how was the group in which Zambia was, in terms of how did Zambia perform overall? Just your observation on that.
I think Zambia being disqualified from the World Cup was basically on the identical goals that they played against Tunisia and Equatorial Guinea. You would see they lost to Tunisia at the Levi Manawasa Stadium. That was 2-0. They also later on lost to Equatorial Guinea 2-0. So those were identical defeats on the Zambian part. Later on, they played Mauritania, which they won. And then at some point, they also played again Equatorial Guinea, which they drew. So basically, that's where our downfall as Zambia started, I think.
Okay, well, how did you watch the game between Zambia and Tunisia, the last game?
I did.
How was it? How was the shaping of the team? Was the squad okay according to your observation?
The squad was okay, but then I think where we lost it as a team was in the first half. We created unnecessary fouls, a lot of mistakes, and our defense was very weak. So I think Tunisia, we gave a chance to Tunisia to score more goals in the first half, of which that wasn't supposed to be the case. We're supposed to score even more goals, at least more than 3 goals against Tunisia.
Well, you can also add your voice to this discussion we are talking about Zambia failing to qualify to the World Cup, and this has been actually an issue, especially among sports lovers. This is because we'll be watching other teams play, and if a team has to qualify to the World Cup, you need to put up a very strong squad in order to compete with the teams that are doing fine in the continent, the likes of Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt. You need to have a strong squad, and to be able to compete, especially that you find teams like Brazil, Portugal, France at the World Cup, and you need to have a team that can be able to represent the continent effectively. So you, our dear viewers, you can equally add your voice on what you think should be the way forward to the Zambia national team, considering the fact that they have failed to qualify to the World Cup. And soon we'll be also going to the preparations for the Africa Cup, which we also have been failing as a country in terms of ensuring that we effectively participate in the continental showpiece. Now, Blessings, what do we need to do in terms of nurturing local football, especially that putting up a squad that can compete effectively in as far as football is concerned?
I think football basically starts at the grassroots. For me, I would suggest maybe a change in the technical bench, or yes, just a change in the technical bench, because football would start at the grassroots, and also just an appeal to the local players to put in their level best, because whenever they are representing the country, wherever they are playing from, they should know to say they are carrying 18 million Zambians behind with them wherever they are going, so they should be able to emulate a good game wherever they are going.
So I want to understand, when you say that, you mean there is no that zeal and energy to play for the country among some players?
I don't think there's that seriousness, Mr. Soko. I don't think we have that seriousness in our Zambian football at the moment, of which it's an appeal, an honest appeal to the local players. Let them at least emulate good spirits of Patson Daka, for example, or Fashion Sakala. It's sad that Enoch Mepu is injured at the moment, but then let them carry on such spirits, and then the Zambian football will go high.
Well, Blessings would like to thank you for making your appearance at the breakfast today, and we'll be talking to you on this segment on various sports discipline, because at Camnet TV, we just don't want to do soccer. We want to make sure that all sports disciplines are given the attention that it needs. And you will be helping us to discuss various sports disciplines and various sectors, so that to ensure that we give them the equal attention that they deserve. And talking about equal support, as you wind up our discussion, I want you to just help us understand, are we doing enough as a country to ensure that each and every sports discipline gets a fair share of funding in as far as sports is concerned?
According to my observation and being on the ground, I have observed to say most sports disciplines such as basketball, netball, or any other besides football feel less popular. Reason being, if you go to the ground, they'll basically tell you to say, no, we are less funded. No, we are not, some sports like pool, for example, they are not all that recognized. They are actually related to, is it drinking places, of which that is not supposed to be the case. Pool should be a sport that even young ones should participate in. So I feel or think there is a great need to embrace these other sporting activities so that they also feel recognized.
Thank you very much, Blessing, for finding time to be part of the breakfast. And we'll go straight into zooming the headlines. And today we're going to zoom. One of the stories we will have to zoom today is coming from the National Assembly, where the parliamentary debates are ongoing, especially that they are debating the motion on the national budget. Can we have that clip?
Parliament Wednesday afternoon witnessed a heated debate over the need for the government to offer full scholarship to all first-year students at public universities in the 2022 academic year. Soon after the start of the day's proceedings, Chama South Area Member of Parliament came down hard on the government. During his notice of motion, he said it was important that all first-year students receive the full support from the government.
This New Dawn government has only allocated or budgeted for 2,000 students, which means more than 13,000 or 10,000 students will be unable to access higher education. It is therefore, Madam Speaker, imperative that this New Dawn government should consider rewarding these youths who have been quoted internationally to have ushered them into government by giving them 100% scholarship.
Debating on this motion, Mwembeshi Member of Parliament said the opposition Patriotic Front is supposed to apologize to the people of Zambia and the New Dawn government before introducing such a motion.
The people here are saying that this motion is non-controversial. But if you heard the way they are speaking, Madam Speaker, if they are not controversial, why didn't they say that we are sorry for not giving free education? May you please, requesting very humbly, you are supposed to apologize first, rather than first coming up with such motion. He is supposed to apologize because Many people are on the streets now. They are not educated because of reckless spending and stealing money from the coffers of the government. And now they come with a motion that 100% next year. Chipante pante in simple language is headless chicken moving like a headless chicken.
However, the term headless chicken did not sit well with some members of this August House.
Order number 65, part B, where my colleague from Wembeshi was saying that the previous government was a headless chicken. When the same government took him to Turkey, when he enjoyed the fruits of the former government.
Kabushi Area Member of Parliament Bomalu Sambo said the motion was in order and that government should fulfill its promise of free education that it made to the people of Zambia.
The new Dawn government of His Excellency His Excellency Akainde Ichilema is on record, Madam Speaker, of giving this country free education. So the motion, Madam Speaker, which is here today, it is a non-controversial motion.
Miriam Kemba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Interesting story there at the National Assembly. Well, I've been joined by my colleague Sharon Kalimbula. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me.
Yes.
As always, but then I don't even understand why you're welcoming me because it's just on the other
because
side.
I'm always here before you.
No, but then when I tell you start the show, it doesn't mean that you're here before me.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay, we'll see about that.
So that was the Minister of... What is he? Member of Parliament?
Member of Parliament, yes. That's a story at Parliament, and a number of issues happened in that clip. You saw the Kabushi lawmaker.
Kabushi lawmaker failing to say, President, what. It's still, I think.
Do you think it was deliberate?
I think it was deliberate. I mean, these are things that we don't really forget. There's only one head of state, so really, it's not something you can miss out. I don't think so. In as much as you are glued to the person that you are working with, I don't think that's deliberate. And it made people laugh. I think that was the idea.
But what are other stories trending, especially in the former ruling party, now that we are talking about that?
Yeah, we've got quite a number of stories, Patrick. I know you followed the bulletins that we've been running, especially this week. The Patriotic Front has been making headlines every day, because
is it for the right reasons or for the wrong reasons?
Both the right and the wrong reasons. But the idea is to project whatever is happening in their party with their prospects to bouncing back into power, obviously, in 2026. And obviously, earlier this week, we saw the members of the Central Committee meeting and resolving that they are going to have the convention, which is a General Assembly next year in June, where they will pick, or maybe they will elect their leader, a president, to lead them. So all that really has also sparked debate among members who feel they want to take over the leadership mantle. We had Bizo Mtale who said that he needs a lifestyle audit as one of the things that he feels he needs to work on before he attends the presidency of the party. So, and then we have the other member of parliament who was aspiring under the Patriotic Front from Munali, Patrick Samumbela, who said, no, we are not supposed to have this convention in June. Instead, it should be in April. So there's all this confusion. But then let's look at the clips and see what these people were talking about. Were the reasons valid? Were they here or there, or neither here nor there, as people say?
Exactly.
Let's look at the clips first.
As the former ruling party undergoes the rebranding process, divergent views have emerged on the holding of its party convention. Recently, PAF Acting Party Secretary General Nixon Chilangwa told journalists that the Central Committee resolved to hold its convention to elect its leadership as part of a rebranding process in June 2022.
Be president, Pamunyoko must be president. We need to respect other people's views and desires. And what we are going to do, we shall blow the whistle to say, colleagues, now go ahead and canvass your votes. President Lungu will not endorse a single candidate. I repeat, President Edgar Lungu will not endorse a single candidate, and there's no favorite person to take over from him. His desire is that we level the playing field and people are not harassed. Anybody who shows ambition, they have got a free human right to go ahead and aspire for the highest office in
Patriotic Front member and a losing candidate for Monari constituency, Patrick Samwimbila, has opposed the move, suggesting that the convention should instead be held in April 2022.
There is need to meet each other halfway. The general membership have been talking about either December or January about there. And then I said, no, again, that will be too soon. So in order to put or to plant hope in the membership, let the Central Committee meet again, put in place a subcommittee to look into, the organization of this general conference, organize resources, check the structures or the electorates, so that within a short period, by April, and remember, April is always the best month. Why? Because we are coming from rain season, the planting season. People would have started harvesting. Around that time, they have enough food to eat, plenty. So for us to hold an event in April, it is the best time.
He says his views are representative of the general membership of the party.
Let's listen to the grassroots cries and let the grassroots, general membership, please, my plea, my prayer to you is that let us respect leadership. Let us respect President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, who is still our party president. But feel free to air out your grievances, to air out your views in a civilized manner, without demeaning leadership, without insults. Then that way, we are going to see serious rebranding of the Patriotic Front, and for sure, the Patriotic Front will rebound.
What comes ahead in the former ruling party remains a mystery. For now, we can only wait and see as political events unfold. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Since time immemorial, politics has always been a game of perception. In most cases, a change of one's perception towards a particular political party will take more than ever anticipated. In the case of the Patriotic Front, they are determined to embark on what they term party rebranding process, which they hope would secure a party a bounce back at least in the next general election. As part of the cleaning up process, a PF presidential aspirant, Bizwe Mutale, has Wednesday called for a personal lifestyle audit exercise by the investigative wings on all PF senior members who served in various portfolios.
Of all those names that you have called the party, they could have been there, neither nor there. But what I'm going to be saying that is that having accepted the above, we are saying that we want to clean Patriotic Front as follows to all those allegations that we can remain the party of the choice. We are going to conduct an audit lifestyle. We need to do a lifestyle audit to all the following officials that have served in Patriotic Front. Ministers at all levels will go through the lifestyle auditor. Permanent secretaries, all of them will be audited. Director General, Commissioner Generals, State House staff, the CEO, that is in the government sector, in the party sector, the PF Secretary General, PF Chairman, PF Provincial Chairmans, members of Central Committee, PF District officials, that is the chairman and their officials. All of them will go through into a lifestyle audit.
During an interview with Camnet TV, Mr. Mutale clarified that this audit exercise is to ascertain those who will be found wanting within the party so they face the law.
Of the beholder, the public are going to scrutinize those that have actually committed the atrocities. They will be exposed now, and we are ready to do that in PF so that you don't call PF as a party of thieves, a party of corrupt and cadreism. We are ending that now. I am a presidential hopeful for the Patriotic Front. At the convention, I want to stand at the convention with my head high. I want to stand at the convention as a leader who is going to deliver the Patriotic Front into the right direction.
At the end of it all, the party's fate still remains in the hands of the Zambian people, who have a louder voice in this process. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Welcome back. We are happy that you could still be with us on the Camnet Breakfast. Well, in the studios, we have been joined by Mr. Lewis Mwape, who wears so many hats. He's a development activist, he's a governance activist, expert. He also served as the executive director for Zambia Council for Social Development. And welcome to the program, Mr. Mwape.
Thank you very much, Patrick. It's good to be with you. Sharon, thank you very much to host me on your TV.
Thank you so much. This is your first appearance, and we will actually do the needful that we always do to people that appear for the first time on our channel.
Yes. Yeah, and we'll be discussing local governance with Mr. Mwape, and we are talking about pertinent issues which he has been commenting on various platforms, especially on the news and current affairs aspect. Okay. Now we just thought of expanding it on the breakfast interview, and we will start our discussion with the aspect of decentralization. We've seen that Zambia has been singing the song of decentralization for a long time now, but now under the new Dawn government, how is your overall assessment in terms of the decentralization agenda, Mr. Mwape?
Well, first of all, I must say that it is too early, but I think when you look through the manifesto of the UPND, you will find that there is an emphasis on decentralization. And I think when again you look at the policy documents, the first policy document we can talk about is the national budget. We have also seen that there should be some kind of a speed in terms of implementation of decentralization. But again, when you look at the alignment of the ministries, also it would tell you that actually there would be some level of decentralization. Because just simply looking at a ministry, for example, a ministry of SMEs, if you look at the informal sector in our country, they are more in our markets, they are more in the streets, they are more in agriculture, in rural areas. And so if you look at this, like the markets and the streets, where you find the majority of the informal sector, those that are selling tomatoes, those that are selling biscuits and other merchandises, but you can still feel that all these might belong into another group, some linkages with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. But also you look at the Ministry of National, the Infrastructure and the Urban Development. Also it tells you that there will be some level of some linkage, because you remember that before the Ministry of Infrastructure and Housing, what was there was Ministry of Local Government and Housing. So it means that many of the houses which were constructed, councils, were under the Ministry of Local Government. So the alignment of ministries also to tell a story to say that there is a focus by the new Dawn government to have the decentralization at least being quickened, given wheels, so that it begins to move. So I think there is some kind of will. But if you look at where we are coming from, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done. I think the ministry needs to look at what the PF government did. I think there was some revision of decentralization policy. You remember what we had was revised National Decentralization Policy of 2013, and also we had the National Decentralization Implementation Plan of also 2013-2014, thereabout. And the PF government also went on to look at human resource devolution. But I think on the way, we can say that a lot of work was done, a lot of paperwork was done, and it is just a matter of, I think, picking and beginning to revise. And in this country, we spend a lot of time revising documents. Okay. And when we spend that a lot of time revising documents, we find that by the time we complete the revision, it will be almost the end of the term of a particular regime. So I think for now, I think a lot of work that has been done is good enough to kickstart the process. For example, the human resource devolution process, which was being done by a group which was supported by United Kingdom. I think that work was well done. It was led by a very competent team who understand the issue of human resource. So I think it is a matter of where does the New Dawn government pick the remaining pieces, and how can it be improved. And already we have seen that on the budgetary side, the UPND is doing a good job by taking the fiscal decentralization, I think, which is very, very important, because you can do the human resource devolution, you can do all this, but if the fiscal decentralization is not, the money is not accompanying the administrative structures, it means that you can never implement. And I think for the PF, that was a major weakness, where the resources were well trapped on top. And that's where we hear the president HH trying to say the money will be removed from the center, from the thieves in Lusaka to the local people in the communities. I think that is a correct statement, and we need to support that kind of statement. But what we want to see is, first of all,
that Mr. Mwafi,
every point we must have right people. We must not have thieves in Lusaka. We must not have thieves at province. We must not have thieves at local level.
But that's our fear.
Everywhere.
But don't you think the same clique may decentralize its services and go and take money in Chawama constituency?
Exactly.
Mr. Mwafi, or let's say in Shangombo, they decentralize this. They move away from Lusaka and follow where the money, follow the money.
Things are very primitive.
What do you think about that? But how can we prevent that as well?
Well, I think when we talk about trapping the resources, I think it was very tricky, and that was very, very visible in every aspect. For example, if you look at the fire tender, the case that you know very much, where somebody decides to buy you a fire tender for $1 million, and if you look at $1 million, if you gave that, say for example, you want to empower 42 local authorities with 1 million each, I think there would be a lot of things that they could do rather than by procuring a wheelbarrow. So what we need to do as a country now is every resource must be deemed important and taken to the local authorities, because development action is actually at local level. You cannot, every time we have planned, whether under central government, under decentralized system, development takes place at local level, because you only have a school built at a ward, you only have a school built in a constituency, you always have a school built, a clinic built in a district. So even if we are centralized, the actions always take place at local level. So the issue of ensuring that we capacitate our local authorities is very, very important, and I think what we need to think through in terms of budget implementation is how do we ensure that we capacitate the local structures. First of all, we have so many things, so many processes that have taken place over time. For example, we have Budget and Planning Act and policy. So if you look at the planning process, the plan is that it must start from the lower level, from the WDC, which is World Development Committees. So the World Development Committees have been identified as a planning agency. So if it is a planning agency, how do we empower this agency or this authority to begin to have the capacity to identify the projects, plan the projects, implement the projects, monitor and evaluate the implementation process. So this is what we should be thinking about. So even when we look at the money going to the local level, to the constituencies, these are questions that we need to ask as citizens.
That's why in the issue of the Constituency Development Fund that was increased, obviously, it's been very topical. People really, it's like people don't understand what is contained in this 25.7 million kwacha per constituency on a yearly basis. Kindly highlight more on this so that we can just tap into your knowledge.
Well, first of all, you must realize that the Minister of Finance, and if you look into the documents, the Yellow Book and the Minister's speech, you pick it that the 25 million has 15 million, which we can call CDF as CDF. I don't know if you understand that, that language. CDF as CDF, which is equivalent, which we can say it is as that kind of a CDF like 1.6. So then you have 10.7. The 10.7 is an empowerment fund. So empowerment fund means that women can apply for that fund. Young people can apply for that fund for empowerment, and also it goes into also the social protection aspect. For example, if in the constituency you have children that have been selected to university and you are able to even ascertain that they would not have capacity to pay for university, to some extent the parents could apply against that fund to support social protection for like bursaries for vulnerable children that are coming from poor households, so vulnerable households. So I think that is how that could work. So it means that there is a lot of work that needs to be done. It means that one, we need to look at a committee that could be put in place to look at the vulnerability assessment of children or those people that could be beneficiary to any form of social protection. And I think also it needs to reprofile the local authorities to say what are the key problems that may require some level of support in form of social protection. Is it the social cash transfer would be catered for by the Ministry of Community Development, but there could be peculiar issues that may require support towards the communities within that specific constituency. And so I think that is the what. But I think also what is also dangerous, I think it is some of the statements that we are hearing from the powers that be, for example, where there is some kind of proposals to amend the constitution to allow for the MPs to also sit in the CDF committees. I think that could be very unprogressive. It would be good to leave the status quo of the constitution, where our MPs have been removed from being councillors. Because they are going to, if you look at the roles of the MPs in the constitution, you find that they are providing oversight, and so they will need to continue to provide that oversight. So I think it will be very important to strengthen the local authorities so that they carry the mandate very well. Because if development takes place at the local level using the vehicle of CDF, I don't think even if you are an MP, you would still cry, because you still come and claim to say, look, my constituency has been developed, but even if you were not directly.
This has been a concern from year in, year out, that the members of parliament are also given the mandate to pick one or two members under the Ward's Development Committee, and this has resulted in the whole committee being
in the CDF
belonging, yes, the CDF committee belonging to a particular political party, but in the actual sense, it's supposed to be just general members of the community who may not be even partisan, but they just want to see the development agenda of their ward, of their respective constituency. Is this attainable where an MP is really out of way? Just let it be, let the people work, and just provide oversight like you mentioned.
Well, first of all, the CDF, there is a CDF Act, and it has provided a lot of guidelines on how even the CDF committee are supposed to be constituted, and the MPS has been given some mandate for about 2 people that should be floated into that. It's not a bad idea. You know, development is political, and I think we cannot run away from that fact that development is a political process, and when an MP is represented by 2 people, I think that is not a bad idea, because you have a good number of people that are coming from other institutions, including ex-officials from the councils and so that group are able to ensure that what is being approved is actually the community need, is the need for that constituency, is the need for that particular zone, is the need for that particular ward. So I think as citizens we need to learn to be more patriotic to our country and ensure that every project that is being implemented is able to deliver the needs or the demands of that particular community.
And Mr. Mwapu, we also want to pick your thoughts regarding the appointment of district commissioners. This because district commissioners have been at the center of controversy, considering the fact that their work conflicts with that of a council chairperson or the mayor. You see, so how, just your thoughts on the appointment of the district commissioners, and most of the DCs in various communities, some people have passed a vote of no confidence because they feel some people are not capable or they have not appointed the right persons. Just your thoughts on that.
It's like you want them back. You're one of the people who didn't want the DCs back. Because
first of all, I think for me, I think it is 2016 and 2017. I think if you Google about Lewis Mwapu, I think I was very clear that they are not a very important actors in the decentralized system. I think that was very clear to me. And looking at integrity is about consistency. And I think for me that stands. But there is one thing that we need to understand very well, and understand it very well, is that I mentioned that development is a political process. And if you look at the product of democracy, the product of democracy is that it will give you a form of representation in a multi-party system, whereby if you are a ruling party, you will not be found everywhere. And looking at now a political side, and that does not mean that I have changed my position. Looking at the political side, for example, if you look at the number of councillors, number of MPs, number of council chairpersons that are in, for example, Luapula province, even in Northern province, Muchinga province especially, you find that a ruling party, like a current ruling party, the performance, while the performance at presidential level was also on average, but if you look at the output in terms of the number of councillors that were elected, the number of council chairpersons that were elected for the UPND, you find that they are very few. And this is where we have a challenge when it comes to advocate for removal of DCs, because the DC now will bridge the gap between the government, the ruling party, the ruling government, and the service delivery at local level. So there is that linkage. Now, the question we must begin to ask, and the opportunity that we have as citizens, is from the 2 months that the UPND has existed, they removed the DCs. Mm-hmm. The question I asked was, what was the impact of removal, non-existence of DCs at community level?
But we had people acting in their positions.
No, let's say, what is the impact of them not being there? Because those who were acting were not like
basically ceremonial.
Actually, we are doing nothing. So the question is, what was the gap? Because you only decide when you see that. For example, you could see the gap when there is a visible gap. When there is absence of a PS, you see the controlling issues and this and that. So that is what should dictate our decision making, whether the absence of the DCs was felt. If it was felt, it means that that position is very, very much inevitable. If it was not felt, it means that even if you did away with it, you can still exist. So then the other challenge that we have is that in the Constitution, even as you talk about the existence of mayors and council chairpersons, our aspiration, our proposals as citizens was that we were going to have executive chairperson or executive mayor. This was not achieved. And because we did not achieve this, it means that the interface between the local government and the central government was not achieved. And so there was still going to be a need for that kind of interface. And that's why somebody would justify that the DCs would be inevitable in the implementation framework in the local administration. So maybe the question that the citizens must begin to ask is, have we gotten people that are able to understand the local administration and ensure that they complement the central government at the local level? Because the presence of the DC is the centralization. What I can, it's my own language. Centralization of decentralization.
What does that mean?
What it means is that the central government is in the decentralization framework.
So you mean that the DC is a focal point in the decentralization process between the central government and the local government?
Yes. So then if you look at let's look at the implementation framework for 7th National Development Plan. If you look at the implementation framework of the 7th National Development Plan, you realize that there is some work. Actually, the coordination of the implementation is around the office of the DC, the District Commission. It means that from the PF point of view, the DC was given a very prominent role in the implementation of government policies at local level. So the question you are asking is very right. So where is the mayor? Where is the town clerk? So the town clerks coordinate the local level affairs. But I think the issue that we must be talking about is how could we improve the performance of the or existence of the district commission at local level.
So that's the discussion we should do a bit igniting. Well, now, Mr. Mwapo, will take you into other pertinent governance issues. We understand that participating at the local level also requires some form of freedoms. Let's say, as you, as civil society organization, having been in the civil society movement, how would you rate the aspect of the civic space? Because, Mr. Mwape, you were carrying a megaphone over and over, suggesting that there is a lot of shrinking civic space under the previous regime, and we want to find out how so far you are assessing the United Party for National Development administration in as far as expressing your rights or associating as organization is concerned.
90 days is surely enough for you to
90 days.
Exactly.
Wow. It's really very interesting. First of all, I come from a compound, and I understand how, I come from a village and I understand how we interact as villagers and how we interact in the compounds where we are. Yesterday in Matero, not the day before yesterday in Matero, I saw about 3-4 vehicles in PF Regalia, and they were passing around waving their symbol, Amaka, Pamaka, Pamaka, in Matero. That could not happen in PF, to see UPND moving freely like that. I remember one time I was in Mansa, we were just launching a program called Inequality Campaign when I was at Zambia Council for Social Development as Executive Director. We were launching the Inequality Campaign. I had to be called by the police just to say, what is inequality? Just to mention the term inequality.
Was an issue.
It was an issue. Saying, what is it that you are talking about inequality in Mansa, in Wapula province? So in the Western Province, somebody was telling me, I was in the Western Province with my colleague, who was telling me to say that here in Northwestern Province, there are two systems. There is BRE and there is also a government system. And you could pick, you could go and talk about Western Province in terms of poverty profiles. You carry then Central Statistics publications, you read word for word. You come down from a radio station like here, you are arrested for talking about Western Province being the poorest province in Zambia. It's the same thing in Luapula. When I was in Luapula, many times, one time I was going to visit my father in Lupososhi. I was trapped by, I was met by almost 5 police officers asking me what I'm doing in my village. Can you imagine? We had no freedoms. People are free. People can back, you can put on any regard, and this is being seen. And we hope this is not just the beginning. When a political party is put in power, there are certain things that it does. And later on, after 1 year or 2 years, they begin to realize that maybe we may lose grip, and they begin to tighten on the laws so that there is some form of shrinking space. I think the call on the UPND should be that this is a commendable start, and it must continue. People must be free. Actually, what made PF to lose power is lack of freedom by the people. So people held the expression, yes, inside. So much that one time I was in Kasama and I wanted to buy watermelon, and I jokingly indicated that I don't buy things from these people who are wearing the political regalia, and many of them were in PF regalia. Then a certain woman just called me to say, "Sir, if you think to fere tamwimwene ni watermelon, because panonga tuafare fintu fimbi balasa batufunyepo," meaning when we wear a different regalia, we are going to be pushed out. And that is what deceived popularity of PF. And if UPN would need to rule, beyond 2026, it means that the freedoms of the people actually needs to be expanded. The civil society must be given space to engage with government, to demand for accountability, and actually going beyond even enacting the access to information. So once that is enacted, it will make Zambian citizens not just to ask for a plain figure, but also to ask details. For example, the question you asked me about the what is contained in the CDF. It's not every Zambian that is aware of that. What the Zambian people know is that we have 25.
Exactly.
But under access to information, people would go, how are we going to do this? What is contained in that? And once you do that as government, it means that you are giving, you are empowering your citizens to have access to information, to make informed choices whether to support you or not to support you. It is not wrong. I like the way when Mwanawasa took Chiluba to court, and some people called to say, no, Mwanawasa, you are going to lose power from Luapula province. Mwanawasa said it very plainly. If it means losing power, let Luapula province not vote for me. I don't care. And that's kind of leadership that we want. And even when you are in government, if there is something that you don't believe in, we must learn to resign. We must learn to give up power. There is no way you can say, no, I didn't agree with this. When collectively, this is very wrong. Yeah, we pushed in the butane and what. So if you were the Attorney General and you didn't believe in it, we should have seen it by resigning. So integrity is by the decisions that we are making now. And we must begin to look at how consistent are we in the decisions that we are making. Did we say, for example, did the UPND say we are not going to appoint DCs? If they said that and today they have appointed, is that consistent? If it is not, that's the things that we do. But there are also certain things that we make out of ignorance, because when you get into government, you begin to understand how government works and how government operates.
Interesting conversation we have there with Mr. Lewis Mwape, a development activist. Like Patrick mentioned, he wears so many hats, but today we're just quoting him as a development activist. We take a short break. When we return, we continue with the conversation.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 0730 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 0930 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chiluba with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African Time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chiluba comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite national matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chiluba are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Kalu Kalu all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
Thank you for staying tuned to the Camnet Breakfast, we are at the segment we call the Camnet interview, and my guest on the program is Mr. Lewis Mwape, a development activist, and we've been discussing local governance. These are issues pertaining to how local communities are managing themselves, considering the fact that we are working on the decentralization agenda as a country. Mr. Mwape has been able to help us unpack various issues pertaining to local governance. In case you want to also contribute to this discussion, you can equally call the number that is scrolling on the screens to be able to add your voice to the discussion we have here, and how you feel resources should be better utilized at a local level. And Mr. Mwape, going on with our discussion, I want to pick your thoughts regarding the aspect of allocation to social sectors, which being health, education, the social cash transfer program. I want you to assess, especially in the 2022 national budget, how is it adequate for us to make progress as a country?
Well, first of all, I think maybe I would pick the aspect of social protection, but if you look at the education sector, the health sector, there has been some level of alignment, and so far we need to also get some clarification on the role that the Ministry of Science and Technology will take in terms of advancing education, and also for the Ministry of Education, the extent of allocation, maybe towards the, the Ministry of Education has pre-primary, secondary, and also the tertiary education. So all this needs to be maybe mirrored and see whether the allocation that has been done is sufficient to implement, especially some of the very important sectors.
We have a caller. Hello, you are through to Camnet TV.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir. May we have your name and where you're calling us from?
Okay, this is Benson, so calling you from the Uganda.
Okay, Mr. Benson, you can contribute.
The matter that I want to ask the development activist in Lewis Mwape is something that you've not really touched on, but I thought maybe it's something that is very pertinent to what you are discussing, more so like on governance. It is something to do with Chama district and Iteji. These are districts that were once, like Chama was once under Muchinga, then it was into province, and it's the one that has moved to southern province. Yeah. So then Chama moved to eastern province, as opposed to what it used to be under Muchinga. So in the name of continuity, because there's been a debate, my question is, what could be the thoughts of the development activists over this move? And why was the previous administration, or why did the previous administration move these areas like the Chama district from eastern province to Muchinga, then again from Muchinga to the province? I tend to think that continuity, not that there is diversity in continuity there. It appears as if when there is a change of administration, somebody will come up with a decision like what happened in the previous administration, let Mchinga be part of, or let Chama be part of Mchinga. Then this administration let Mchinga, Chama be part of the province. Yes, again, we are going to participatory approach, where all the stakeholders are carried on board in arriving at some detail. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your contribution, sir. I think his references to yesterday's statement by the President on some realignments, Mr. Mape. You can take that one.
Well, first of all, I think the concern is very genuine. There is an issue of participation. I think I'll take the issue of participation. I think in the country, the promotion of participation is very, very important. But also, there are certain things behind that we may not know from the outside. But if you look at Chama and also some of the districts that were removed from Southern Province, I think for me, even if it were me, I think I would have reversed them. On one point, first of all, we look at the cultural aspect, and also you look at the language zones. If you look at the language zones, even under the Ministry of Education, it makes administration of even exams very, very difficult, because if Chirundu, for example, Chirundu is part of Lusaka, and also, you know, it's now has been centralized. It's in capital city for Choma is the capital city for southern provinces in Choma, which is yes, very close to Chirundu, unlike maybe even just Lusaka. So, and also you look at the advantages for resources, for if you are looking at decentralization, Lusaka has so many infrastructure that can generate revenues that can support the province, for the province itself to be self-sustained. So if you are getting certain districts that generate the resources for that particular province or for that particular one, so it makes the other province to be weak in terms of resource. And you see Chirundu is in the Tonga zone. In the Tonga zone under the Ministry of Education, it means that if you are managing the exams from Lusaka, so it means that you have to distribute so many. Lusaka is in the Nyanja zone, Chinyanja. So it means that you are to get both Tonga and Nyanja, and then you distribute to various districts at once. So I think it makes provincial administration more coordinated and easy, because even from other aspects of sectors, it makes it to be easy. So I think this issue of political, the same thing with Chama. Chama is Nyanja is Chichewa or the Nyanja zone. So actually, even when we have meetings, even as civil societies, if you are going to Mchinga, you will find that Chama will be still mapped under Eastern Province. Just during elections, I think we had opportunities to go around this country, and we were meeting a number of people across, leaders across the country. And if you are going to meet leaders, civil society leaders or other actors in Mchinga, the Chama people say that it will be better for them to be in Eastern Province. So you find that even in the form of administration, Chama doesn't come to Chinsari. So it's better that they are taken back to Eastern Province. For me, as a person, and in terms of development, it makes a development sense. Actually, what we must be thinking about is also trying to look at how do we create, for example, a province that can cater for example, Chirundu, Kafiwe, and others, in that respect, we are also going to have to bring the central administration of some of these districts that are far from the main centers, from the provincial centers, more closer to provincial administration. I think that will be very important. I think we should be talking about how do we maybe within Lusaka, Western and Southern province, is there a possibility that as a country we can create a province that can be that can bring some of these districts we are talking about closer to the center? Yeah, basically I think for me I don't see any reason, and the fact that these districts that we are talking about are just getting back, it is just a remarriage. There was a divorce, and then they have decided to remarry.
So you are happy with the remarriage, and you were not happy with the divorce?
Personally, I think when I talk about consistency, I think from my commentaries, you see that we were not happy
with the divorce.
With the divorcing of especially districts. Chirundu from Southern Province. I think that was a very weakening. Even in the province in terms of resources. So Lusaka, well, look at Lusaka, it holds all the headquarters. So why should we be bringing more resources and resources to Lusaka?
Mr. Mapa, as we come to the 9 minutes of our discussion, I want you to just tackle the aspect of the 7th National Development Plan, now proceeding to the 80th National Development Plan, with the aspect of decentralization, considering that the new budget has taken a different twist. What should be contained in the 80th National Development Plan to ensure that it serves a greater purpose in as far as development is concerned?
Well, first of all, I think we must also look at what the government has proposed. If you look at the minister's, finance minister's speech, I think they have given a very good pillars, and one of the pillars, continuation of issues of inequality, vulnerability, issues to deal with the economic issues, ensuring that there is increase in the economic diversity. I think diversification will be very, very important. But more importantly, I think when we talk about decentralization and local governance systems, will be to look at how do we bring together the other actors. I like some of the proposals that colleagues are putting in place. For example, we have the claim why decentralization has taken long is that people claim that the local authorities are weak, the capacity of local authorities are weak. Now, them being weak, it means that the question should be, who should strengthen? Who should build the capacity of the local authorities? It should be ourselves. It should be the central government. I think the devolution must take the center stage of the 8th National Development, and I think it is good that we also have seen this in the national budget. But I think we must think about the administrative devolution, so that we begin to look at how is the Ministry of Primary Services being devolved in the local authorities, like primary health, primary education, pre-education, disaster management, agriculture, and all those primary services. How do we see them being in the local authorities? And then we build the capacity of local authorities. I think some of the proposals we are advancing are proposals like, for example, Zambia has achieved in the training of adult education teachers, and also we have infrastructure in the adult education centers, which we call continuous education centers, in almost all the districts. And where they do not exist, this is one thing that can be done. The idea is that if we want to empower local entrepreneurs, for example, in carpentry, in bricklaying, in welding, so these centers could be used as a vehicle for developing, for empowering the local the local bricklayers, the local carpenters, and all those that are able to do that. Because you find that the bricklayer is able to lay the bricks, but can't even apply for this support from CTA. So we need to use the government structures, like ensuring that the Directorate of Adult Education is capacitated, is empowered, highly funded, and ensure that they are present at community level. And the proposal by NUPE is to have them merged in community development is a welcome move. I think that is a very progressive statement which needs to be supported. Then we need also to formalize the issue of informal sector. If you look at the informal sector at the moment, I think it is what may hinder the implementation of CDF at local level, because we need to formalize the skills that people have so that they are able to access facilities that are being provided at local level. I think it must go into empowerment of citizens. It must go into expanding of our economy. It must go into good governance, ensuring that there is dignity, there is integrity, even in the utilization of resources.
Mr. Mape, I would like to thank you for finding time to be part of the program.
Thank you very much, Patrick. It is always good to be at Camnet.
Thank you. Well, our dear viewers, have come to the end of the program, but be sure to join another segment of the Breakfast Show tomorrow. This has been Patrick Soko. Stay tuned.